A couple of months ago, I decided to replay one of my favorite childhood games, Kirby: Nightmare in Dreamland, a remake of the cult classic Kirby's Adventure for the NES. As I raced through Vegetable Valley, fought my way through Grape Gardens, and beat King Dedede into a bloody pulp, I couldn't help but notice a very overlooked feature of the game that I never really paid any mind to: a score display. No doubt I harkened back to the old arcade games where you'd compete for high scores. As I continued playing, the gears started turning, and my mind concepted an interesting premise. What is the lowest score count you can achieve in a 100% run of Nightmare in Dreamland? Before we begin, however, I just need to lay down a few basic ground rules for the challenge. First, it is technically possible to beat the game while getting as many points as you want, and right before the final boss, quit and reload your save file. This will reset your score back to 0. This obviously is not applicable for this challenge, as the video would be already over. So this run must be done in one sitting. Second, I'm sure there are plenty of tricks and skips a task could achieve that a human just cannot do. That being the case, no task tricks or glitches of any kind will be performed in this video, mainly because I haven't the slightest clue of how to make a task, or how to do any glitches for that matter. Lastly, if you get a game over, your points value will decrease dramatically. This, like everything mentioned before, is illegal. Well, I think that about covers the rules, so without further ado, let us begin the challenge. Our first world of Nightmare in Dreamland is Vegetable Valley, and the first level here sort of acts as a tutorial on how the game works on a basic level. It introduces your typical baddies like Waddle Dees, Waddle Doos, and Brontoberts. We will, of course, be avoiding all these dudes at all costs, as killing any type of enemy will cause a point increase. Being this is the first level, nothing really happens here, and we finish with a point total of 0.
Don't get used to that.
Oh yeah, and before we go on, I'll quickly explain what happens here at the end of every level. You're put into this sort of mini-game of sorts where you time a jump to get more points, or a 1-up if timed perfectly. However, if we just do nothing like so, we won't get any points, so that's what we'll be doing at the end of each level. Here in 1-2, we encounter our first impassable situation of a score increase. A mini-boss. Poppy Bro Sr. to be exact. Interestingly enough, if we inhale or destroy the projectiles that mini-bosses throw, it does not have an impact on the score, only when we defeat the boss itself. I tested this by eating more bombs in one run than the last, and the score still came out to a flat 1000. So we can finally leave that room and are faced with some very tricky maneuvering over these enemies, but if we just hug the ceiling, we should be good. Another interesting note, if enemies self-destruct by falling into water or off the level, our score is unaffected. Our next room contains the goal, and with that, our score has increased to 1000. On to level 1-3, we have some more grassy plains, some rocky terrain, and a whole lot of cruising on through. We finished this level with no score gain. In 1-4, the first room contains a mini-boss, Mr. Frosty, and it seems defeating him gave out 1500 points, so it seems different mini-bosses give different amounts of points. Well, anyway, continuing on through the level, we come across a door being blocked by, well, blocks. Destroying a single block will always grant 10 points. Here, we only need to destroy the bottom block to access the door. The next room is one giant cluster of enemies, and gave us a really hard time, but with the power of time and patience, we got through it without hitting any enemies. And so, that ends 1-4, where we gained a total of 1,510 points, bringing our total to 2,510. The last level of Vegetable Valley is this world's main boss, Wispy Woods. Being the first main boss of the game, his fight is very trivial, and after throwing some apples his way, Wispy sheds his single tear, we pick up our Star Rod and continue on to the next world, with a total of 33,510 points. Except no! Just for fun, I went back to this fight later on, and noticed I had gotten a higher score. Weird. I did nothing different. Could the number of points you get from a boss be random? Well, no, not at all. Turns out if you use the projectiles of a main boss's attack, it adds to the score. Why it affects main bosses and not mini bosses is beyond me. So how do we attack Wispy then if his apples gain points? Well, I have a simple solution, my friend. Ability rooms. If we take a left on the level select map, we come across this door, which, hey, view copy abilities for free? Well, that's exactly what we need. So we grab our first ability of the game, Sword, and perform Deforestation on Wispy for the last time, bringing our true final score for World 1 to 22,510. And with that, we move on to the next world, Ice Cream Island. On to 2-1. This level contains some falling explosive coconuts we can fly over, and another enemy swarm that, while annoying, was very easily passed. We reached the goal with no point gain. 2-2 introduces us to our first set of bomb blocks. Like the normal blocks, bomb blocks net us 10 points per block, but in order to pass the wall of blocks, every block here must be destroyed. We take a warp star and fight Mama Wheelie, and fly ourselves to the exit with another set of bomb blocks guarding the door. 2-2 increases our score by 1,650, giving us a total of 24,160. 2-3 starts us off with a wall of 8 bomb blocks we must destroy, and continues on to a very annoying swimming section where we have to sort of coax these guys around the water to get past them. But with some patience, we get to move on to the next room with 2 sets of bomb blocks, and a new sort of boss fight. In this fight, we must destroy Meta Knight's baddies to progress. The easiest way to do this is to just inhale the enemies and spit them right back out. After I bested the baddies, I made my way to the exit, but I had a sneaking suspicion something was off. I redid the fight without destroying any of the projectiles, and sure enough, I got a lower score count. So it seems both main bosses and Meta Knight bosses' projectiles add to the score count, but not the mini bosses' projectiles. That being said, I make sure to kill every enemy here by swallowing, just to ensure I don't hit one of their projectiles accidentally. Strange. Anyway, after redoing the fight, we reach the goal once again with a point gain of 5,960, bringing the total to 30,120. Our point gain in 2-4 starts with a fight with Mr. TikTok. And that's really about it, just some rooms with enemies easily passed by. So we end up with a point increase of a flat 1,500 with a total of 31,620. The first half of 2-5 is nothing noteworthy. The real meat of this level is in this room right here. A giant wall of alternating blocks just waiting to be broken with that high jump ability. That's not what we're about though. So I take this exact route going through the blocks. I believe this is the most conservative way to get through the maze of blocks, but I may be overlooking something here, in which case this whole challenge is now invalidated, and this video is completely pointless. But I'll tend to think about it a bit more positively. Other than that, it's a straight shot to the end, with a total of 70 points for that stage, and a grand total of 31,690. On to the World 2 boss. What's this guy's name? Paint Roller. Never knew that. Anyway, we grab an ability from the ability room, and he's dead. Well, he left us a point gain of 60,000 points. Wow, okay, that was more than expected. Anyway, our new total is 91,690, which leads us perfectly into World 3, Butter Building. Our first point gain here in 3-1 is this wall of bomb blocks, and another fight with Mr. TikTok himself. However, the most noteworthy thing about this level is the beginning of the hidden purple switches. In order to 100% Nightmare in Dreamland, you must press down on all of these purple switches in order to open up the entire world. These switches do not unlock any extra levels, but they may unlock things like ability rooms that will help us out later on. So in order to get the first purple switch, we must destroy both blocks to gain access to the door. And then comes this room. I probably spent a good 20 minutes in this room. Well, the faster you enter the door above, the less blocks explode, and the less points you gain. Well, after my hundreds of attempts, the lowest point gain I was able to pull off was 580. If someone else, or even a task, can do it better, Let us know in the comments, because I was not getting any better results than this. Anyways, the door leads us to the switch, and after hitting it, we learn there is no point increase from the switches. Nice. From here, it's a straight shot to the end, with a point gain of 2,460, totaling 94,120. Not really anything too exciting going on here in 3-2, other than our first fight with Bugsy, one of the most annoying mini-bosses in the game. Funny enough, the next room is set up specifically to showcase the moveset of Suplex, Bugsy's ability, but we just pass right by every baddie here. They live to see another day, I suppose. Well, here at the end of the level, the Bugsy fight increased our score 2,000 points, with a grand total of 96,120. Next up, 3-3, one of the shortest levels in the game. We enter this little hidden door on the side of the building, and are forced to break one little block that guards the exit. How quaint. Score only increased by 10 here, totaling 96,130. 3-4 starts us immediately fighting Meta Knight's army of cronies, and like before, we pummel all of them into tomorrow. And beat this also very short level with a gain of 4,000, breaking the 100,000 barrier with a total of 100,130. There's not much to talk about in 3-5, besides the fact that we face Bonkers at the end of the stage, and are granted Hammer, one of, if not the most useful ability in the entire game. Being so, we'll be hanging on to it for as long as possible. Other than him, we break 4 blocks to get to the goal, and increase our score 1,240, totaling 101,370. 3-6 sees us dodging some bombers, breaking some more blocks, and... oh, good god, it's one of those stupid rooms again. Well, much like the room in 3-1, we attempted this one for a good 15 minutes, and the best attempt landed with a 180 point increase. It may be possible to get it down 10 or 20 more points, but I couldn't seem to break that barrier. Anyway, we hit the second switch of the game and speed through the rest of the level. Our score increased by 210, making a total of 101,580. The third main boss of the game sees us battling the literal sun and moon, and well... yep, we just smushed the sun and moon in 7 seconds. Anyways, Grape Garden is next, with a point increase of 60,000 and a total of 161,580. Grape Garden sees us entering the clouds, with tons of annoying enemies to avoid. And through this door here, we're in... space? Alright. After a bit, we come to a wall of alternating blocks. We take this path up here, since there's a secret door that leads us to our next purple switch. With no other score increase to speak of, we exit this level with a point gain of only 40, bringing the total to 161,620. 4-2 begins with a castle floating in the sky, and a set of 6 bomb blocks blocking the door ahead. The next room, we need to also break 1 block here to jump out of the water, but that's all until the end of the level, which has us facing against twin Poppy Bros Seniors. Oh, and they're dead. And they graciously left us 2,000 points. That being the case, we end this level with a total gain of 2,120 and a grand total of 163,740 points. Our next level here has us take flight on a giant blimp. If we just coast the wind at the top of the stage, it's super easy pickings. At the very end of the room is a door that leads to another purple switch, so we hit that and move on. Inside the blimp now, we must break this 1 block to progress, dodge these enemies like the pro Kirby player that I am, and take a warp star right to the exit. We finished this level with an increase of only 10 points, bringing us to 163,750. 4-4 begins with my absolute favorite part of this challenge, enemy spam. Yeah, that was sarcasm. It's only gonna get worse from here, folks. After zipping through a giant room intended for Wheel, we come across the bane of my existence, Fan. This stupid two-legged elephant's attacks are so sporadic and unpredictable. Oh, no, yeah, he's dead. Well, good riddance. After Fan graciously left us his share of points, we must destroy these blocks to reach the goal. Our point gain was 1,610, totaling 165,360. Another cloudy stage, 4-5 is nothing too special until we get to another Meta Knight fight. For this fight, I had to juggle my ability around so I could inhale the enemies, as I still don't know if hitting them with an ability causes more point gain. It was rather annoying, but better safe than sorry, I suppose. Immediately after the fight, we have a small wall of bomb blocks and a straight clear shot to the finish, altogether with a 4,730 point increase and a 170,090 point total. 4-6 begins with a crap ton of bomb blocks. Hooray! Destroying more bomb blocks over here leads us to another fight with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. TikTok. After killing the most popular social media platform ever, we move on to a very dark room. What the game intends for us to do is inhale this flying bedsheet and turn on the lights, so to speak. Doing this reveals the exact location of the hidden door for the purple switch. But if you know where the door is, that part can be completely avoided. Heading out, we're greeted with another bomb block wall, granted a much smaller one than before, and pretty much head straight for the exit. We finish with a 3,200 point increase, topping us off at 173,290. The World 4 boss, Krakow, starts in a very unique way compared to the other bosses. Instead of just wailing the boss with your ability, you start by having to ascend the clouds to get to the boss arena. What the devs wanted you to do is to take Mr. High Jump over here and soar your way through the clouds. But since I wanted to keep Hammer, we have to painstakingly puff our way to the top, all while avoiding peeping Tom over here. Once you get to the fight proper, it's just like any other fight. Just start pummeling the oversized Cumulus Puff Daddy until he evaporates. And with that, Krakow left us 80,000 points, totaling 253,290. And now, on to World 5, Yogurt Yard. Yogurt Yard starts with a similar motif to the one we just left off on. More clouds. This time it seems as though we're falling back to Earth here, but right before we enter this door, there is a conspicuous wall of blocks under the door. Well, in order to break the least number of blocks here, we must line ourselves up perfectly like so, gain some height, and use Kirby's bonk to break a single block. Do that once more to fall on through to the bottom of the stage, where here we have to break 3 blocks in order to get to the hidden door. This leads us to a purple switch, and is the last of the point gain throughout the rest of this level. That being said, our total only went up by a measly 50 points, bringing our total to 253,340. The next level has some very interesting things going for it. First up, this fishy dude that is persistently blocking my path. However, if you swim up to the little alcove right here just in time, you can completely avoid Mr. Fishy and continue on about your day. Except right after that, we're met with another roadblock, this time a Kaboo. He seems a little more difficult to bypass, but in this case, all we need is a little time and eventually, yep, there we go. He deems us worthy of continuing on. Hallelujah. After going through what feels like 1,000 doors, we're met with Bonkers once more, and curb stomp him into the afterlife. Looks like we didn't need to keep Hammer after all this time. Oh well. Otherwise, his fight leads us right to the end, and our total has gone up by 1,200 points, totaling 254,540. 5-3 has always been one of my least favorite stages in the game. Not because it's overly difficult or anything, more so there's just nothing special about it. It's just kind of a gray, dull, boring level, and there's honestly nothing much to say about it. That is until we get near the end. After entering this door, we're met with a Parasol Waddle Dee, who is completely blocking the path, with seemingly no way to pass. I must have tried this a combined total of 200 times, but no matter how good my timing was, I could not seem to outmaneuver him. Thus marks the first normal enemy in this challenge that we'll be killing. I'm surprised it's taken this long, to be honest. Fortunately, Mr. D is the only point increase in this level, giving us 800 points and a grand total of 255,340. 5-4 starts off by us breaking a few blocks to progress, and what I thought was a creative navigation around these spikes here. Here. Gotta love voice cracks. I put my ability in my mouth as to not instantly lose it, and made a beeline through the spikes. After all that, we stumble upon another Meta Knight fight. Similar to before, we juggle inhaling enemies with the loose ability, and defeat each and every last enemy Meta Knight has to offer. This level's secret switch is hidden inside this seemingly innocuous waterfall. Surprise, surprise, it's actually a door. Going inside grants us easy access to the switch, and a giant fall down a mega waterfall, all while avoiding pesky enemies from down below. Falling to the bottom rewards us with the goal, and this level graced us with 5,530 points, and a total of 260,870. Up next, 5-5, this foresty stage is a bit of a conundrum. The door that leads to the hidden switch is right in the beginning, however, we're going to be completely skipping it for now. As you can see, the only way to access the switch is by using this cannon, and in order to light the fuse, you need a fire ability. Since Hammer does not offer any fire abilities in this game, we're gonna need to come back here a little later, as we'll soon be needing Hammer for another purple switch. Moving on from here, we trek our way through the forest, come across a warp star, and enter a castle. Here we're faced with a fierce-looking lion, ready to pounce and maim his prey into- wow, that was fast. Next up is a room that makes me wish I was never born. We are completely swarmed with these pigs that just love to congregate and throw their little stars at me. Maneuvering around this obnoxious enemy spam was a pain in the neck, but with a bit of elbow grease, we made it through unscathed. And right to the end. We made 1,500 points in that level, making the total 262,370. So, remember about 30 seconds ago how I said we needed to keep Hammer in order to access a purple switch? Well, here we are. But before that is a room decked out with wheels. Another room where we must destroy this huge trail of bomb blocks. And here we are, the underwater metal blocks. The only ability in this game, to my knowledge, that can break these blocks while Kirby is underwater, maybe besides UFO, is Hammer. In order to break the least amount of blocks here, we must destroy only one of these metal blocks like so, completely ditch the Hammer ability to get our water-spitting attack back, and hit the blocks through the wall like this. After that, the door is available to us, and we fall right onto the switch. Heading out of here, the goal is literally 5 feet away. However, that giant trail of bomb blocks netted us 670 points, totaling 263,040. Before heading to this world's boss, we need to go back and hit that missing switch from before. In order to not gain any points from inhaling a fire enemy in the level, we'll be going back to World 2 to go to the ability room, where there just so happens to be fire. Heading back to 5-5, our first order of business is getting rid of the enemies in here. The flying dude just kinda wanders off the screen in a few seconds, but the fire dude takes a little longer. With the power of fast forward though, he's out of here in a flash. The last obstruction here being the blocks are easy to get rid of. Temporarily lose your ability and suck up each block one by one, giving us 30 points. Light the fuse, jump in the cannon, and land right next to that sweet, sweet purple switch. Now you may be thinking we have to beat the entire level again and face that intimidating lion again. Well, fear not, for after completing a level, if you pause the game, you have the option to leave through a door, which I always thought was a weird way to phrase exit level. But with that out of the way, comes the fifth boss, whose name is apparently Heavy Mole. Don't know where in the game that's disclosed, but sure, Heavy Mole it is. We breathe fire down his keister for 20 seconds, and his mole hole is looking pretty toasted. Mr. Mole gifted us a generous 100,000 points, shooting our total way up to 363,070 points. And with that, Orange Ocean is next up on the chopping block. Orange Ocean. So good to be here. So good, in fact, we're backtracking to Yogurt Yard. Why? Well, the first two stages in Orange Ocean require a heavy ability to be used like Stone or Hammer, and Yogurt Yard's ability room just so happens to have Stone waiting for us. With crushing powers in hand, we head into the first level, where we can obviously tell this world's theme is water. You know, the most critically acclaimed levels in every video game ever. Well, maybe not. But luckily in Kirby games, water levels usually aren't too unbearable, and that is indeed the case here. The second room here already sees the stone going to work to access the purple switch, which is a super easy grab. Heading back on track, it's pretty much a straight shot to the goal, only having to dodge a few annoying enemy spams. This level increased our total by only 10 points, leaving us with 363,080 for the total. 6-2 is the second stage that requires the stone ability, and we destroy the small barrier of bomb blocks, head into the next room, and find the door to the hidden switch. Simply stone smash the stump to break the blocks, and the switch is yours for the taking. After that, it's more of the same, dodging typical enemies to get to the goal, and... yeah, I took a pretty funny death here. Kirby just turns into a fireball with eyes and slowly descends to his demise. Anyway, back on track. The end of the room sees the goal in reach, and... oh, come on, really? The door is being blocked by a couple of pesky blocks? Well, being the big brain that I am, I just fly underneath the door and clip through the floor. Screw you, bomb blocks! Tallying up the point increase, we gain 320 points for 6-2, totaling 363,400. Our next stage, 6-3, is actually one of my favorite levels in the entire game, mainly because it just feels really unique. In this level, you get to explore the ins and outs of a pirate ship, which I feel is pretty neat. Our first trip into the ship is a fight with Bonkers that, while optional for beating the level, is mandatory for getting the hidden switch, as the path to the switch is blocked until you beat him. But after you give him his lobotomy, the path is opened, and down below we have another bomb block that can somewhat be skipped. By entering into this little hole at just the right time, you're able to enter the door before too many of the bomb blocks explode, leaving you with only a 90-point increase. The door to the switch is just up ahead here, and... oh, well, that sucks. Looks like our best bet here is to enter the room to the right and grab laser to light the cannon. Touché, game devs. After successfully lighting the cannon, we're blasted to the skies where our purple switch awaits us, and we're promptly brought back down to the pirate ship. We climb the sails of the ship up to a warp star where we're brought back to land. From here, it's a straight shot to the exit, with a point gain of 1,700, giving us 365,100 in total. To begin 6-4, we're met with a split path of sorts, where the bottom path is the clear way to go, as the top path has a block placed in the way. Much like the previous level, this door right here is about timing. We need to time the bomb blocks with us entering the door, except this one is exceptionally harder. I spent about 10 minutes just doing this on repeat, and the absolute best I could do was an increase of 110 points. Once again, if someone knows a more efficient way of entering the door, let me know down below, as I feel if any of these time bomb block skips could be improved, it would be this one. Moving on, we've got a Waddle Doo that snorted a line of coke. Like, seriously, why is this man so strung out? Breaking a few more bomb blocks, we come across a small opening in a cave. This small opening just happens to be our ticket to the purple switch. Heading out, we destroy even more bomb blocks, dodge some extremely annoying falling coconuts, and sprint our way to the finish line, gaining exactly 500 points with a total of 365,600. Here's where things get a little bit more frozen. 6-5 foreshadows what the theme in the upcoming world is going to be, and it is home to one of the prettiest backdrops in Kirby history. I remember staring at that backdrop for hours as a kid, completely enamored by the vastness of space. Anyway, getting back on topic, points, yeah, we gained some over here with bomb blocks, some more bomb blocks over here, and to the right, more bomb blocks. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting pretty bomb blocked out. So let's take a cannon up to a purple switch to calm the nerves. Much better. Just be careful exiting this area, as if you fall straight down like so, you'll break some unnecessary bomb blocks. But the exit is just over here, and we gain 1,820 points, leaving us with 367,420. 6-6 continues the icy space motif with the door to the purple switch in the first room. However, it's being blocked by vertical stacked metal blocks, meaning only 3 abilities can destroy them: Hammer, Burning, and UFO. Being I don't have a point-efficient way of getting Hammer, and no flamers are in this level up to this point. I guess we'll just have to wait until we get UFO. Oh, well, that was convenient. But something isn't right. Let me eat him again. Did you see that? Our points went up by a different value. In fact, after doing it again, it went up by an even different value? Okay, is someone at HAL personally messing with me 22 years ago? Well, I'm not sure about that, but what I can tell you is that, yes, when eating the UFO, your points value will increase by one of 4 different values: 50, 100, 150, or 300. Whatever. We choose the 50-point giving UFO, and destroy the blocks back in the last room, granting access to the purple switch. Later on in the level, we're met with another split path, this one leading to 2 different boss fights, either a fight with dual Mr. Frosties, or a fight with dual Poppy Bros Seniors. The correct choice is actually the latter, as the 2 Mr. Frosties give out 3,000 points, whereas Poppy Bros Seniors only give out 2,000 points. So the Poppy Bros Senior route it is, and we can fly through the rest of the level with ease. That is, until we're faced up against Meta Knight's baddies for one last time. This one is no different than any of the others. Inhale, spit out, repeat, and boom, there's our exit. We gained 8,570 points, topping off at 375,990. And now, it's time to fight the nuisance face-to-face. And by fight, I mean stand in the middle of the arena flailing your sword around until he bites the dust. Man, these bosses sure aren't giving it their all, are they? No matter. With our score soaring up to 120,000 points, we're at a total of 495,990. And now, onto the final world of the game, Rainbow Resort. Alright, so Rainbow Resort starts out with a bit of a doozy. The first room is all fine and dandy, but the second room is probably the most difficult room in the entire game.
Bruh.
Yeah, somehow I'm supposed to somehow carve a path through these blocks and create the most optimal route possible. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I saw this room going for this challenge, I almost just gave up on the spot. Like, come on, look at all these blocks. Well, to cut to the chase, here's what my path looked like. I destroyed these 5 blocks over here, carved a path through this layout of blocks, chipped away to the right here. I have to free these 2 Waddle Dees that run, walk, or float, depending on RNG. Luckily, they both floated over my head, and I was able to just barely avoid them. Freeing the Flamer ahead, I continue making my path, finally coming across 3 Waddle Dees, and a hidden path up top that requires Metal Box to be broken. So I do the only sensible thing I can think of to do at the moment. Cry. But after my 20-minute sob fest, I came to my senses and grabbed Burning from the left. Next was dealing with the Waddle Dees. I had to wait to break the blocks that freed them at the exact time they were in this position so I could fly above them without them hitting me. And, just as planned, they walked right past me, and I was able to destroy the blocks above. Now, I couldn't find a more efficient way of destroying these blocks except like this, which only leaves 1 block untouched. There may be a better way to go about doing this, but I'm gonna be honest, my brain is fried. And all I see when I close my eyes is Kirby and that stupid yellow score counter. Anyways, here's the penultimate purple switch, and the door out of here spawns us on more impassable blocks. Okay, fine. We only have to destroy 1 of them. Let's just get to the end of the level. I'm so done. We gained 1,240 points, bringing the total to 497,230. 7-2 was the token boss rush of any Kirby game. And like most boss rush levels in a Kirby game, there's a secret second harder path, and it's located inside of that vent-looking thing. The bottom path is your standard boss rush, defeating most of the mini-bosses we've seen before. However, let's see what our total is at the end here. 507,430. Okay, that's an increase of 10,200. Well, let's try the second harder path, which is just the same mini-bosses, but they attack a little faster. The total here is 503,430, which is an increase of only 6,200. Interestingly, the harder path garners the least amount of points. Well, that's about all for that level, and as mentioned 5 seconds ago, 6,200 points is the increase, with a total of 503,430. While 7-3 is incredibly annoying in some areas, it is the first stage since 2-1 to not increase the point total at all. Wow, if only every level could be that easy. 7-4 is not that easy. While there isn't a lot of point gain in this level, these 4 rooms with the strung out enemies are pure torture. I don't know why all of the enemies had to be strung out on coke in these later levels, but it is incredibly annoying. It sucks, but after getting through it, destroying 8 blocks, we get to destroy some rows of bomb blocks, destroying some more bomb blocks, and destroying more bomb blocks. Okay, whoever made these levels has a serious crush on bomb blocks, and they are not afraid to hide it. Anyways, that finishes the level with an increase of 1,230, totaling 504,660. 7-5 starts out with a bunch of bombers trying to give me a seizure, and a mama wheelie and her son down at the bottom. Aw. Oh, sorry you had to watch your mom die there, kiddo. Floating past some gusty holes, we make our way to the last room, and subsequently the goal, with a point gain of 1,000, totaling 505,660. And here we are, 7-6, my absolute favorite level in this game. This level aims to recreate the first Kirby on the original Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land, and completely grayscales the stage. As a kid, I had no idea why this level was like that. I always thought it was just the level trying to be different, but as the 5,000 IQ manly man that I am now, knowing that it's a recreation of the first Kirby game is really freaking cool. Anyway, I could gush about this level for about 20 minutes, but I'll save you all the headache. In terms of point gain, there isn't really much to say. You've got to destroy a block here, here, and wait in Waddle Dee traffic. Then destroy some more blocks up here. As we puff our way to the top, we see the final goal is in sight. However, isn't there supposed to be one more secret switch somewhere? Why, yes. Yes, there is. And the secret door is staring you right in the face. Notice anything out of place here? Well, if we fly up to the moon up here and interact with it, it's the door to the switch. This switch is my absolute favorite in the entire game. Not only because it's the last switch of the game, but because of how cleverly hidden it is. Well, that about does it. We enter our last goal with a point increase of 120 and a grand total of 505,780. Well, this is it. The final boss. Let's do it. As we enter the final door, we come face to face with the obese penguin that needs no introduction. He's a bit tankier than the other bosses in this game, but my hammer is no match for his hammer, and I squashed him into the ground. But this is a Kirby game after all, and the final boss is never the final boss. So what's next? Ah, a floating ball of stars. Alrighty. King Fatso sucks Kirby and the Star Rod up and spits us into space, where we have another boss fight against the ball. Yeah, it's not a hard fight. It goes down in like 30 seconds. After he's defeated, we both shoot ourselves up to the moon, where the true final boss will finally commence. Nightmare. Now, I'm just gonna say it, this dude used to scare the crap out of me when I was a kid. I remember the first time I encountered him when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I was absolutely terrified, and my parents had to literally calm me down and remind me that it was just a video game, and that he wasn't real. I would have genuine nightmares about this dude, which is incredibly fitting given his name. Oh, but hey, as I was talking about how petrified of this guy I was, I've already destroyed him. And with that, the challenge is finally over. The moon explodes into a crescent, Kirby flies away, and saves the world. So, that being said, what was our final score? $1,165,780, meaning that those 3 bosses combined gave us a whopping total of 660,000 points, which is more points than we gained throughout the entirety of this challenge combined. Hey, thanks for watching. This has been a project of mine dating back to sometime in April, and I've only now just finished it. Since this was a nearly 5-month endeavor, I would ask you to go watch some of my older videos, but since this is my first one, all I can ask of you is to stay tuned for more videos, and to share this video with all your Kirby-loving fans. I promise it won't take another 5 months to make another one. Let me know of any other video ideas you may have in the comments below. And until next time.